Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to the show. It is Thursday the 21st, and everybody's excited because tomorrow's Friday, and the kids, if you have kids in school, today is the last day and they have spring break heading in tomorrow, so it's going to be a great time, week off next week, but more importantly, right now, guys, I'm in Miami. It's about 75, 80 degrees. I talked to my family on the phone up north, and I said, what's going on up there? They said it's 29 degrees. I called my dad. He said, look, I think it might be 27 degrees, and with the wind chill, it's a little cold, and I said, whoa. I looked at being up there and I do like it and love the Northeast, but I said, wow, it's about to be the end of March and we're talking it's in the lower temperatures of the 20s heading down. At that point, I mean, it could freeze at like 30 degrees or whatever. So it's just like a little cold toward the end of March, but hey, I'm in Miami, sipping my coffee, getting the morning started, getting ready to get going. We got a lot to talk about. Rodgers, some conversation, Jordan Poyer to the Dolphins, Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce Jenner conversation, how that transition happened. Also, she, saying it correctly, is siding with the people saying transgenders cannot go into sports if men want to go into women's sports, talking about that, and further into the conversation, a little bit more to dial into. But first, let's go right into it right now. Rodgers, was almost selected for the Jeopardy host. And it's just like, to me, it's just so funny and so interesting because every time you put the news on, you put Rodgers on, it's like, okay, it just is so comical to me. And it's a guy that people, you don't know how to take him seriously anymore. I've been saying it's like 1 minute it's like he's playing football. The next minute they're talking about he's running as a politician. Then he's basically handling calls with the GM. Then it's like, hey, let's bring on Rodgers as a Jeopardy host. He's in so many circles that look, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's cool, but Rodgers has to play football, right, Howard? Pull it up for us, the photo of Rodgers and Zach Wilson. It's just, I don't know what it is. Like every time I look at the Jets, and this is the centerfold of a lot of conversation up in New York, because this is one of the teams that is still kind of going, what are we doing right now, right? Like Rodgers is such a celebrity in the eyes of the media, the world, and all different facets and different genres, right? Like before you know it, he'll be on a music band or some kind of background. So it's just, I don't know how to take it seriously. I love Rodgers, love his ability to play football. Howard, pull that picture back up of the Jeopardy host. And I got to tell you, this is kind of looks like his comfort zone, right? Like on the football field, Rodgers is great. Played great with the Packers for a long time. People loved him and love bringing that conversation up because he's all through the media, like I've been saying. But it's almost like even in his helmet, it just looked rattled and uncomfortable. And then when I see him in certain facets of life like this, it's like this is really his comfort zone. Like Rodgers realistically could be the host of Jeopardy and people will probably go, oh, this kind of fits his mold. Like I see him in that position up there being like, next on the show, and what is and what's that? You know how it goes on Jeopardy. I got to tell you, I know a lot of things in life. I've been pretty smart and pretty blessed, but when I watch Jeopardy, I'm like, okay, I'm not advance in certain positions of life that I kind of would like to be. But again, Rodgers, love the guy. But to be the host of Jeopardy is like, let's move further and further away from football. But then when the football, when the games come around, the preseason turns around and then the game starts, it's like, does Rodgers have enough in the tank really to get into the start of the season? Because preseason, you're going to see very little, right? Very little of him and his backup quarterback, as we just saw with Zach Wilson. Again, pull that back up, Howard. Zach Wilson, I'm just not sure what they're going to do with him, right? It's just like they need a backup, obviously, someone who's great. Tannehill was supposed to be there, weren't sure about him. And you got people like Justin Fields circling around, going places, new draft picks coming in, like Caleb Williams. You got Bo Nix, you got Penix, you got J.J. McCarthy. You have all these players that are going to come into the National Football League. Will they go to the New York Jets? Will the Jets pick up a quarterback? Because someone's got to learn there. Like someone has to grow there. And it's either get a veteran, like I've been saying, or pick up a draft pick. And an interesting thing for the Jets could be they could get a draft pick who could come in this year and say, look, Rodgers is the starter. That's that. You come in, you learn behind Rodgers, you're the mold, you're the future of the team. Kind of like what Justin Fields is about to do, even though he had a stint out in Chicago, didn't work out that well, goes to the Steelers, and now he has Russell Wilson in front of him. Hey, give Russell Wilson one season, Justin Fields, learn a little bit throughout the season. Maybe you take over toward the end, that kind of thing, the gelling, meshing of that whole situation could work out great. But Rodgers, almost the host of Jeopardy, to me is interesting and comical at the same time. Now moving on to Caitlyn Jenner. Okay, this is a conversation that I just, we got to be careful about, right? We got to be politically correct. So everyone knows that. Try to do my best with that. But we had the conversation with, I think it was Lisa Thompson or Leah Thompson, whatever her name, the swimmer who was a guy, transitions to a man, and then is out there swimming and winning like crazy. And people are like, hey, you really didn't place that well as a man. But now that you're a woman, you're just breaking records. Like, to me, I gave you my opinion. Not a big fan of that. I'm not talking about being a transgender. That's up to you. He, she, that's on your thing. But I'm just talking about transitioning into sports. And I got Caitlyn Jenner up here, okay? And interesting enough, she says, look, I don't agree with the whole thing. She completely said she sides with the government if they go against it, right? And she made it very clear, it's just not my thing. And it's interesting because you see what she went through, right? Like, it was Bruce Jenner, right? And now it's Caitlyn Jenner, right? And so let me pull this up here. This is what Bruce looked like. And I got to tell you, I wasn't old enough. I honestly never saw Bruce in the Olympics or watched Bruce do all these things in track and field. So I couldn't even be a fan of him early on. Like, I didn't really know of him that much. But, I'm trying not to be ignorant to the fact of, like, do some research and see where Bruce Jenner was to where Caitlyn Jenner is now. And to me, it's interesting because obviously he transitioned to Caitlyn Jenner. And every time I say it, sorry if I say he, she, don't take it wrong. It's difficult, to be honest. But when I saw this transition, I was like, whoa, this is shocking, right? But at the end of the day, when I look at the main conversation and look at what, basically what she was actually saying, right, is very simple. Like, she disagrees with the fact that, these men can transition into women and play sports. Like, she's siding against what you would actually think. The benefit to her and what made sense to her is that he transitioned into she. So she, and I say this, it's really hard to do, he to a she, but she's not competing in sports. So even though the same transition occurred, she goes, yeah, but I'm a man here. If I would go to the Olympics and run as a woman, it would be very interesting and difficult. But she said, look, it doesn't make sense, sides against it. And I kind of agree with what she actually said. So let's move on to Jordan Poyer. Now, Jordan Poyer signs with the Miami Dolphins, which is pretty interesting because what he said was, I'm back home. I'm back home. Palm trees. I'm back home. But I looked into a research. I think Jordan Poyer is from like Oregon, unless he moved around or ended up back in Miami for a stint or a relationship or wife or whatever was in Florida. But welcome to Miami. Jordan Poyer was an absolute beast, okay? Beast with the Bills. Made a lot of money, transitioned out, and I got what he said right here on my actual other computer here. It says, Fins fans, he says, what's up? It's your boy Jordan Poyer out here, man. The veteran DB says, I'm here. I'm home. Got the palm cheese behind me here. I could cry. This is so beautiful. So Jordan Poyer is pumped. He's excited to be in Miami. The Dolphins are making more changes. Interesting to the roster. Obviously, the main conversation still is what's going on with Tua. Like, that's like one of the main conversations. Like, who is your quarterback going to be for the long term? That's going to be the make or break, I believe, of the Dolphins' future. But Jordan Poyer showing up and balling is awesome. I mean, I'm looking forward to watching him ball. It's going to be an exciting time to see him go through the transitions of playing for the Miami Dolphins and what they do with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They have a good defense. They got rid of Christian Wilkins, but they're adding Jordan Poyer to the DBs list back there, which is great. The Miami Dolphins could be in an interesting, situation this year where, again, pretty good team, pretty solid. A lot of great guys in the locker room, a lot of great guys on the field. If they can fight through injuries, like, my position with Tua, if you've been watching my show, how I feel about Tua with the concussions. I feel like he's only got a year left. I don't think it's really smart. But, hey, people want to play. They want to ball regardless. It's in your DNA, so I'm not knocking him. He should ball as long as he can. But just from a health perspective, I think he's got to be a little bit careful and be a little concerned about those injuries. But check this out. This is very, very interesting. And I'll talk about baseball that much. But the Dodgers fire the Stars interpreter. Okay, what that means here is the guy on the left here, you can see, I think he made, Otani is the last name, I believe, made like $700 million or something like that, right? So apparently this guy on the right was stealing from him. Like, this is his interpreter. So they spent a lot of time together out in LA, years and years together out in LA. And look, quite frankly, it's just a little strange, right? I believe I have there it is, the picture here. His interpreter on the right is stealing money and then putting money into making bets and gambling. And it's only person this picture was taken at the bottom right. You can see on 12/14, I believe it is 2023. That's his interpreter, like at the with the team. So then he shows up here, you know, and it's like, wait a second, this guy's stealing money from me. Like, he's literally stealing money from his own guy, which is like, that's a little bit concerning, right? But not only is he stealing money, he's taking it and he's putting it into betting. And so all these cops now and people are looking into it and the attorneys are looking into it, obviously. But the truth is, this guy made, he got a 10-year, $700 million deal. The guy left here, Otani. 10-year, $700 million. Okay? Just so that you guys understand that. And the gentleman on the right, who is his quote-unquote interpreter here, was with him for 6 historical seasons as an LA Angel. So I'm just saying, the guys closest to you, we're talking obviously Major League Baseball right now, but the guys closest to you are taking money from you, which is like, we've heard that before, people stealing. Apparently this guy's at $700 million. Probably doesn't even realize the money's even gone in the first place. But yeah, his interpreter stealing money from him, XYZ. But moving on now to a conversation that we need to talk about. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, is this good for boxing? Right? We already know the situation. We already know, Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson. It's big for fighting, and then you got Tyson Fury in the middle. Like, this is great for boxing, right? Like, he's saying it is great for boxing. But what I want to know, and kind of what I'm asking is, realistically, do you guys think in the chat right now, is this a good situation? Like, do you think Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson is good for boxing in general? I mean, I don't know what you think. I mean, I'm just saying, I've said this, I don't think this moves Jake Paul up on the list in any kind of way, even if he wins. But will Mike Tyson, I'm going to put in the chat right now, Mike Tyson or Jake Paul, because I haven't done a poll in a while. So let's do this. Mike Tyson or Jake Paul? I'm trying to see what you guys think and kind of get an idea, because to be honest, I'm kind of confused right now on who I would pick. But I just put it in there now, the poll. If you're in the chat right now, good morning to all you guys. But hit that right there. Click who you think will win the fight, Tyson or Jake Paul. I'm just saying, Jake Paul is a lot younger, obviously, in his 30s or late 20s, wherever he's at. And then Mike Tyson is getting old as shit for boxing. I'm not saying old as shit as a person. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for boxing, I mean, he might go around and get joked around, or maybe people are like, hey, Mike Tyson's that damn good. He still has it in where he's going to knock Jake Paul out. But is it good for boxing, right? Like I already said this, that it's not going to make him go anywhere. He's not going to level up. They're going to go, hey, beat Mike Tyson. Now you're going to fight Canelo, or fight some great, crazy boxer just because you beat Mike Tyson. The payday might be great. Like, I'll give you that. Like, you'll get a payday if you win this fight because more people will come out and do this kind of thing. But this whole celebrity boxing kind of thing, I got to tell you, I like how it's a little bit of twist to it. Like, hey, we have a new event. Look who's fighting. You're like, what? Like, that's interesting. Like, I love that part of it. I think that part is cool. But for boxing in general, is it kind of putting a little bit of a sour connotation on these professional fighters, like their career? Like, it takes so much effort and so much like charisma and like personality and just so much to build, physical, mentally, whatever, to get to the state of being a professional, great boxer. And it's like, do you think that this kind of thing is hurting boxing? Like, do you think them two coming up and making this big time fight and big time payday and all this, is it hurting the sport of boxing in general? Like, these other boxers, like, you're taking the spotlight away from those kind of fights? Or do you think, hey, it's good for boxing? I like what's happening, because I got to tell you, Tyson Fury jumped up and goes, it's great. Like, he thinks it's phenomenal for the sport of boxing. And maybe it's because he's getting a little bit older and he sees, seems to think that, hey, we're bringing back some other generations, possibly. I don't know. But all I'm saying is, again, we already know the combination of these two fighting. It's not going to level Jake Paul up to go fight some massive boxer. But what it does, it puts a notch on his, it'll put a notch on his belt. Like, hey, I fought Mike Tyson. If he beats Mike Tyson, it's like, I just knocked out Mike Tyson. People are like, you fought Mike Tyson when he wasn't in his prime, fought Mike Tyson when he's a lot older. And that's going to be the question. And if Mike Tyson knocks Jake Paul out, then it's like, okay, that was really stupid at that point. Like, you fought Mike Tyson and got knocked out by Mike Tyson. That might be very, I think, a bad decision at that point. But hey, I want to see what you guys think. In there right now, Mike Tyson or Jake Paul. I want to see what you guys think right now on the selection there in the poll. Let me scroll down here so I can see it as well, if it's still there. Moving on to the ending part of the program, the show we have today. The show quote of the day. It's don't stop when you are, let me say that again. Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you are done, right? And this goes to every single thing you're doing. I don't give a shit if you're in fighting. I don't care if you're in football. I don't care if you're sitting there building your business. I always like to relate this to everybody in here. People that are doing what you're doing in the mornings. It's a great motivation to get your day started every single day. And tomorrow we have more people on the show again and into next week. But it's like, don't stop when you're tired. You'll stop when you're done, right? Like when you're finished with what you're doing, that's when you stop, right? You know what? I'm done now. I'm good. I got what I had to get out of it. I'm good, But when you're tired, that's not the time to stop. That's the time to get better. That's the time to say, I'm fighting through this, because everyone that wants to get better has to fight through the same shit. And that's what separates you, guys in here in the chat. Appreciate you guys. But that's what separates you from everybody else, right? When we get on here, it's a humbling experience. Let me tell you, I had a massive platform before with all kinds of people. It was great. And when you get started, I'm not going to stop when I'm tired. I'll stop when I'm done. I'm going to keep building this platform with all of you on here. Like I say, I take a screenshot every day of who's in the chat and who's on here. I appreciate all of you as we expand. We got sponsors coming into play, which I'm going to announce tomorrow. We got a lot of sponsors that are coming in, from dentists to tattoo sponsors now also coming into play. Some networks, they're going to be on the show. Got their logos that are coming up on the screen. So I'm grateful. I'm thankful for that. I appreciate all of you. Have a great day today on Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday, so we can end the week. So in the morning, we'll get up. We'll talk about Friday, have somebody else on the show. It'll be very interesting. But I appreciate all of you. Have a good rest of your day. See you Friday, and let's head into the weekend. Stay motivated. And remember, don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done.